hard to talk. You know that? That was my thought.
We were finishing, you were talking about the loneliness.
Oh, yeah. I'll bring it. Do you want me to bring it right up to 87?
Sure.
Okay. So, by 1980 and 81, I began again another tenure of my cleaning out process, so to speak. I lost the Broadway play, and it was just a feeling inside, saying, "Man, what's this all about?" Life. And so I went through the next few years of my life just really pondering the thought. I had the dog at the time, and I was living in. Somebody gave me a free rent at a garage apartment, so I had a garage apartment. And, again, it was just a wandering around in my mind of what it is and how it is. And so I spent the next couple of years, or 3 years, I guess, 1980, 45, and 86, in this state. And I just realized, I began to think that maybe life's over with for me. Maybe I've come down to the end of my life. I'm 53 now, and I've obviously missed whatever it is I'm supposed to miss, and I'm not going to get whatever it is I'm supposed to get. So I had this attitude inside that maybe my life was coming to an end, I made a trip to New Orleans with my daughter. I had made a rendezvous with my daughter, and I was watching the people in the French Quarter. If I was a drinking man, which I'm not, that's where I would love to have spent. I mean, whew. Man, that town was just made for me. So I was down there and I saw these guys, they were selling flowers. And they were just standing there and selling flowers, or they were just sitting there doing mime, making gestures with their bodies. And they put a little basket out and they get a little money, and and I said, wow, geez, this is just down my alley. I've done everything I want to do in life. I said, all I had to do is just sell flowers on Bourbon Street, and I'd be a happy man. That was my idea in my head. Now, you know what selling flowers on Bourbon Street's like. You just stand there and sell flowers. It's a nothing, right? It's a totally zero job. All I need is a few pennies. I don't want to drink or anything, but just to be in that scale, so to speak. And so my daughter and I had a lovely time, and I came back to California, and I kept thinking about the idea, how free I'd be if I was just selling flowers on Bourbon Street. And so I said, well, there's nothing left for me here in California. I spent another year here. My dog died, and I just came to a point, 1986, that there was nothing left here in California for me. My career was no more. I didn't want it anymore. And I thought that I would like fold it up and check out, make that final step, which I'm not afraid of. And that's another thing we should talk about, is death. So anyway, I'll just get you up to that point, but I think it would be a nice thing to hear about the death, the way I
think about it.
Huh?
Think about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, the point is that I was done. I was finished. I was wrapped, and I thought that. I believed that in my head, and so I started making inroads to ending my tenure here in Southern California. So I disassociated. I got rid of bank accounts, checking, people I knew, people I said, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back, etc., 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 and just merely saying goodbye to everybody, basically. Got rid of everything. I had nothing. I didn't have too much, but I got rid of mostly everything. And what I didn't have, put in a garage, and my tools and things like that, which I just recently gave to my son. And so started, and it was 1987. I started this, again, emptying out for the last time. The last time in 4 years, but many little times during this past 4 years I've had to do the same thing. Is it too busy here? So we could have done this upstairs too. I thought about it. It's nice out here.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, and that's when I had a mattress. Put the mattress in my white truck. And I started to take a jaunt. Now, I was going to go to New Orleans and sell flowers, and just finish out my tenure of life there doing that. I really don't have any ambitions as far as any more ambitions. The only thing I have in my mind is I just like to be of service to my fellow man in the smallest way possible. And that, when I say that, I'd like to just help little old ladies across the street or little old men across the street. And that's basically that's my big deal. If I can do that, I figure, hey, I'm really of service. That's the way I perceive it. And so I took off, again, to parts unknown. And that was the beginning of, we touched on earlier about my trip, yeah.
Right.
So that brings you up to that juncture of that trip, which again, I'll reiterate again so you don't have to go all the way back. A very lonely time in my life. And again, cursing the entity, the deity, whatever you want to say. How could I have come this far to be thwarted again? And this basically was my feeling. I was a lost human being again, a lost soul, so to speak. With all this vastness of experience, and just no place to put it, and no guidance, and rendered to the point of I'd just like to sell flowers on Bourbon Street in Louisiana, and that's was my fondest dream. Holy Jesus, it's like what a trip, what a trip. And I've seen everybody during the course of this time make good for themselves, do wonderful things. Jesus, I mean, I studied with the Ray Liotas and the Melanie Griffiths and in those study classes, and they were just kids. Now they're big stars, and which I'm not knocking. That's good, But I mean, they did fine, and it was never meant to be in that area for me, even though my motives were good. So that's where it left me. It left me in the dark corner again. Although I wasn't afraid or anything like that. And I'd like to tell you about that too right now. You might just as well get into that. We'll end that little story right there about that thing. In the next period, I'll give you into the now, or the 4 years ago. But they're along the path of this life that I was leading. I want to now bring you into areas that I was, into the positiveness of the area that I really and truly was. I had no fear. That's a big one. Can you imagine walking down the street with no fear? I don't mean literally down the street. I mean walking the street of life with no fear. I had no fear. I had also developed an honesty within my own framework. There was an honesty about my error. There was an honesty about my being that promoted itself. I no longer cheated the government or cheated the unemployment bureau. I know all the ways to cheat. Well, I don't do these things. I did not. By 1978, as 60, as 88, 87, 86, 85 probably, I no longer did these things. I developed into an area of honesty, which was beautiful. I no longer cheated on I don't want to say, that's a bad thing to say. I no longer cheated on girlfriends or I became also, what's the word? Is it is monogamous? Is that a one thing deal or a one guy deal?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't that I became monogamous. I became, and by 1985, of course, the AIDS and all these other diseases were coming out. I became. I made a distinctive choice in my head that I didn't want to. I saw what some of these diseases did to some of these people, and I said, Jesus, I got free. I'm free. I got away with murder for a lot of years. So I stopped going out. I just stopped going out with women. Not that I just didn't want to date anymore. So I stayed away. That was a good feeling. I no longer was searching for anything in that area. And so I became, I don't want to say celibate, but almost, due to my own choosing. So I became aware of death too. Became aware that, hey, the trip is good, and I said, wow, what a beautiful thing that's going to be. And this is what I wanted to say. I used to visit graveyards when I was a kid and get vibrations from the dead, and I still can. There was this woman that when I babysat a house, I used to babysit a lot of houses during this period of time between 1970 and 1985. And one of the houses the woman had just died. And she was there. She was still there. The spirit was still there. And I was there. It was on a 5-acre estate. And I used to come home at night. And, geez, those lights would be on for me. And I know I didn't turn them on. And then at night they'd be flickering on and off. And I could never go near her room. It was empty. And I get this cold chill there. And many's the nights I knew she was at the door, the spirit. And I would tell her that we'd sit and watch. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. We literally sit and watch television. And I couldn't sit in a chair because I knew the woman. Oh, nice old woman. But I was in tune with that kind of situation. And everybody that came in that house, my kids included, knew there was something going on. There was a feeling there. And it was scary at times, but nonetheless. So I was not afraid. To get back to death, I was not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die now, and I welcome it. I embrace it. I embrace it with open arms. So these are areas that I became very strong in. I became very strong in the thought processes of focus. I became very strong in areas of knowing or seeing or feeling or sensing the other person's viewpoints. Even though I came from an opinionated area, but I became open to ideas. I began to see where I was negligent in a lot of areas, even at this age of 52, 53. And so these were strong points of mine. I became very direct. I became very quiet, really. There was so much I now didn't have to say anymore. It was not important. Where I used to have to prove, I no more proved. I didn't have to prove anything anymore. So there were tumultuous amount of areas that I became very, the word affluent, not in a monetary sense, but in a rich sense. Affluent meaning rich, is that right?
Yeah.
Affluent. Yeah. Well, I became rich in these. I became rich in the areas of purity and honesty, and I began to care more about people. I began to see, wow, Jesus, I began to see, and it's the same with with prejudices, and it began to open up a vista in me. I began to see all these things. And this is all during this period of nothingness, you understand? And I began to see the hypocrisies. I began to see the injustices. I began to see the systems. How, my God, they're making people believe things they shouldn't make people believe in, and all these I saw a future. I saw what it's. I say now, I see. People laugh, but I saw the things that were happening, and people used to boo-hoo me, but all of a sudden they come true. I said, well, yeah. I used to tell people, don't sit in front of a television set. It's no good. It's bad. Don't let your kids sit in front of a television set. So that was 200 or 300 hours a week of television is not good for the human mind. It's just not good. Now they come out with studies saying the same thing I said 15, 20 years ago. But back then they said, oh no, I'm crazy. I'm nuts. The things in the future where I say, well, we won't be able to breathe our air by the year 2025. Because blah blah blah. But there are things that I began to see all these things because, oh my God, we are in deep trouble. And again, it's going to die with me right now because nobody wants to hear what I got to say anyway. So it's okay. It's okay. But at least I know what I'm doing. And so I began this. I mean, these were strong issues with me. Strong. I don't want to say characteristics. Strong. I don't want to say philosophy. Strong issues. I guess issues. There were strong issues with me. It was not important for me to be a great actor anymore. I thought that was important. It was not important for me to make a lot of money, which I'd walk around with $10,000 in my pocket. This is true. When I lost that bank, I had $10,000 in my pocket, $5,000, $6,000. I don't have that now, but I'd work and I'd keep all my money in my pocket. One time, that's what I used to carry around. You wanted $100, I'd give it to you. I don't care. It's a man to me. So I had all these. This is where I had come to, so to speak, and not knowing what they're going to be used for, not knowing that I'll need all this honesty, which is it's a big area. Honesty's a big area. I didn't realize that I had traveled that road with all this shedding to become honest. Honest. You say, well, Jesus, that's a simple word. Honesty. Honest Abe. Honesty, truth. And I had traveled that road to that point. It's nice to sit back and not have to prove anything to anybody or anything. It's nice to know that there should be no prejudice and not preach no prejudice, but integrate myself with humanity. That's the secret, you see. And I could see that for the first time. Not to tell about how our country or our city is dirty, but to go out there and pick up trash and put it in a bag. You see what I mean? Demonstrate that way. But no, they want to demonstrate with signs and we're doing this and burn that. That's not my way of demonstration. If they want peace, let's be peaceful. If they want love, let's be loving. If they want a clean city, let's go clean it. If they want clean beaches, let's go down there with our picks and shovels and clean them instead of demonstrating them. And this is what I believed in. I believe in these things. This is where I came to before 1987. And so I don't want you to. The reason I'm bringing these things up is I don't want you to think that I was a zero human being on the scale of 1 to 1,000,000 and I'm the lowest on the totem pole. These are my strong points, and I believe that they're the strong points. Now this is heavy. I believe that I'm on the track of the strong points, and there's only 4 or 5 of them that can change. Get this: if everybody did these things, could change the destiny of the world in a split second. Whoa! Whoa! Now that's bigger than any atomic bomb you'll ever see dropped. Can you imagine if everybody in this world thought about the welfare of somebody else, and in one moment, everybody in the whole world, in our country, or our planet, thought about somebody else, what the planet would be like? Think about it. Is that heavy or not? Now, you answer me, or I'll answer it for you, but you want to answer, but you can answer it. I'll ask you the question, and you can put it on tape your answer. Is that not more powerful than the atomic bomb? To be able to change the destiny of the world in one split second, if mankind thought about mankind, about somebody else? Could that change the destiny of the world in a split second? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So, in other words, the power of change is in the individual. It's an awesome thought. Too big. And you want to know something? Don't got to study for it. Don't got to buy it, sell it, put it in a capsule. Don't got to split atoms about it. Don't got to do nothing about it. All we got to do is try to think about who we can help today. And the whole world would change. Oh, I think that's a devastating thought. Much too profound for me. But I mean, that is powerful. Anyway, these are things I knew. Imagine, here I am, at the lowest, let's say the lowest ebb of my life. Now, here again is another tricky thing. At the lowest ebb of my life, and at the most powerful. That's Zen. You're going to go say, what the hell is Zen? I can't explain Zen. I don't know. But all I know is that it's by the emptying out process I became full. It's by the lack of that I became more of. It's by the elimination that I began to see. It's by the blindness that I began to see, I should think is a better word. And these are the things that I began to understand. So it is by the lack of understanding that I understood so much. Heavy statements. I sat in my truck and said, I don't know about anything, and yet I knew all. I mean, all that I knew in my little framework. That I'll match what I knew then and what I know now to any philosopher of life today. The heavy statement. I'll match it. I only have to match it. I don't have to be better than it. Isn't that amazing? I said, all I want to do is match him, Mr. Professor. I don't have to argue with him if he says you're full of shit. I say, fine, cool, that's cool. That's cool. Do you understand where I'm at?
Yeah.
So that's a very profound situation to be in. To realize the nothingness of my own self and to know all these things, it's crazy in my head. You say, wow, how do I know that? How do I know about? I mean, I hear the Jesse Jacksons and all these. I mean, my God Almighty. I mean, they don't know the first thing about integration, and yet they're preaching. You can't preach, and you can't preach these things. That's not what it's about. It's about an example. What we said earlier, one of those tapes before. What he is. Speak so loud I cannot hear a word he says. By example. And so I see all these things, knowing all these things, and I can't do anything with it. I mean, I'm just a lump in a log. Wowzy, wow. I mean, we're chasing moons. We're chasing nothing. Chasing the better understanding of, and there's enough understanding in this world right now to understand the understood. We don't have to understand anymore. We just got to keep doing it, but nobody does it. Let's understand about divorce. Who gives a damn about divorce? Be divorced or not be divorced? What's the difference? I mean, we're making mountains out of the molehills. We're making molehills out of the mountains because we have nothing else better to do. The energy, the focus should be in understanding, caring, love, honesty. Instead, we want to figure out, well, why are you dishonest? I don't care why I'm dishonest. How do you be honest? Tell the truth. Simple things like that. How do you stop lying? Don't lie. Oh, can't be that simple. Well, no, not for you, but for me it is. And I had to survey all my lies. I lied the best. I believe the lies. I had to survey for a long time. No, that's not the truth. It's a lie. And I went on survey. And I finally come up after all these years, clean. I can look my fellow man in the eye, clean. So these are my attributes. I'm giving you attributes now. They're not great attributes. They're not going to make me any money. And you notice they're not going to get me any prestige. They're not going to get me a job. They're not going to get me anything. But no human being is going to be able to bullshit me either. That's the tricky thing. And that's good. And I can look my professors in the eye. Who are my professors? You're my professors. You're my teacher. And so I can look my professors in the eye. And I've got to say, I wonder what Wendy's thinking of me. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not hurting Wendy. I don't ever want to hurt Wendy. So I'm free, right? I'm free of all these kind of things. I don't got to prove anything to Wendy. I don't got to do anything. And Wendy is... There's nothing. We're on an equal. I'm on an equal footing. She's on an equal footing with me. I'm not any better, or I'm not any smarter, or any dumber. We're all here. So anyway, and these are the attributes. I believe they're attributes, and so. And I believe they're attributes of mankind. I think it is, the race for who's first is a lost race. We're all first. We're all last. We're all winners. We're all God's kids. And we're all here for a short time. A blink of an eye, an inch, a split second can change the destiny of all of us. Sophistication. Silly. Everybody's so sophisticated. Show me love and I'll show you sophistication. Show me compassion and I'll show you sophistication. Show me tolerance and I'll show you sophistication. Show me purity, I'll show you sophistication. Show me unselfishness, I'll show you sophistication. These are the areas that I dwell in. These are the areas that I believe in. These are the areas that are my strong points. I have no dealings with money. Money means nothing to me. I don't even know what it is. I guess they're green stuff and you buy something with it. I have nothing. Money means nothing to me. It's silly. Silly. Money means nothing to me. Honesty does. So this is where it's at. So I was at a state in 1987 where I had these things cooking. They were on the front burner, and I myself as a human being couldn't put it together, couldn't put the picture together. Where was I going to use this, or was I going to die? So then I figured, well, maybe I know all this stuff. Now I'm finished. I'm done. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to die. And it's okay. It's okay because I'm going to make that last trip. That last mile, that last walk. And some billions of greater people than I made that trip. So I'm just going to make it too. And so anyway, this is where I was, to give you a picture of where I was at that particular juncture in 1987. So the idea of, and I want to use the word idea of going downtown for the second and third and fourth and fifth times, but really it was just a weekly thing. The second week we went down, and then I said, well, we'll do it one more time. Then the third week, and anyway, the first first month, by which was January of 1988, December. In the month of December of 1987, we served 700, a little over 700 meals. I think 786. I can look on the record and get you the right thing on that. But 786 meals that month, which I thought was phenomenal. It was a staggering amount to me. And I knew I had hit upon something because I felt very, very relaxed and very, 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 very used as a human being. I felt fulfilled as a human being, that I really did something now for the first time in a long time. That I was being of service again, which I hadn't been. I mean, I kidded myself into being of service, but that's another area. But where I really did something, I took an action and I did something. And the action I took was I drove my truck downtown and I passed out a few sandwiches, and as a result of that action, something manifested itself in me about saying, wow, yeah, this is sort of the capper of doing something for somebody else. So I began to, along about in January of that year, 1988, I began to increase a little bit, maybe get down with 200 sandwiches on we had no Tuesday or Wednesday at that particular time. And I was getting acclimated with the people downtown. Everybody was sort of not knowing, unaware what to expect, et cetera, each week. And but I knew that if I just kept giving and kept loving and kept caring, that whatever it was I was onto, which I didn't know, would manifest itself. And I would tell a few other people, and pretty soon they'd show up and come down, and it was a small little group. And then in February of that year, something happened downtown, and it was kind of a volatile day down there. It was kind of a crazy day, but anyway, in February of that year, your cousin, who found out about me from somebody else, had contacted me, and she wanted to volunteer. She wanted to be part of, so to speak. That's the first time that, like, somebody really wanted to be. Yeah, I want to be part of it, but she couldn't come down on Saturday. So that's when we began on a Tuesday. And that's a development on Tuesday that started on Tuesday. And then for the next year, the development process of Frontline really took hold. I say only the development, not of the development of the food, because that didn't come even until this last year, until we got our own place. When we were over the church was very gracious, and I say this, the church was very gracious in allowing us to use the facility over there, the kitchen. A lot of harassments, but still in all, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the church, and I got to say that. You can't make sandwiches out of somebody's apartment. Not that many. So, we began to develop. The development process took place such as things as this. We would go downtown alone at night, I believed, to allow the people to know that, and I would bring Noreen with me, and this is not just once, this is hundreds of times, to let the people know that we weren't afraid, to let the people know that if they want to do anything to us, there's just two of us. And we would hand out small bites of sandwiches. It's all recorded of what we brought down. But as we began to develop the Wednesday, I think we started developing a Wednesday in August of that year, I think. I could be wrong. In 1988. When did you come, Lisa? In 1989?
88.
Came in 88?
No, 89. August 89.
This was in August of 88. And we began to really put forth an effort of development with the relationship between the street and the people of Frontline and the people. And that's what our job, or that little job with Noreen and I was for a period of about a year. Or a year and a half, I guess. Maybe it might have been from 1988 to 1989. And we would be on those streets, summer and winter nights, and developing the relationship that I believe that was so important between the street and Frontline Foundation, that now it was going to be called from October 1988, when we got incorporated. That was in October 1988. We incorporated, and we were a non-profit organization, and we began little donations here and there. Everything was on a small scale, like I said, really until this last year, 1990. And everything up to 1990 was kind of, what's the word, just figuring out how things would go. That's what you want to hear about Frontline, right? Mm-hmm. Figuring out how things would go. I mean, we gave a little bit here, take a little bit there, run out of a lot of money all the time, no money, all these things would happen. And then we began, which we began to process through. We began to get people that were now dedicated to the like Carol Harrington came in, and she is still with us, making every Tuesday. People began to come in that were really involved with wanting to be helping humanity and wanting to be humanitarian, so to speak. I don't want to say humanitarian, but being of service to mankind. Scope, I think that's the wrong word. Kind of demeanor, kind of, these are big words. The girls in the office don't like me to use big words. Exude a certain personality. Yeah, there you go. A personality of this group really helps people. You give them money, and it goes downtown. It feeds people. And this is what was happening. Try to bring the food down to certain areas. We began to put out 3,000 or 4,000 that first year a month, and now in 88, 89, and 90, we're up to 5,000, 5,000 and 6,000 a month that we're putting out food. And, so this is what was happening. This is what was beginning. So as this process was taking place, Ray, began to get a feeling inside that I was onto something. And this whole process took about a year. But I began to feel, I began to sense inside that something here that was a lot happening, that was a lot bigger than me, a lot big. And so I just kept going. And as each trip I made down, and the amount of people, you feed 30,000 meals, you say, oh my God, 30,000 meals. I said, wow, that's something. Now, I really don't feel as though I had anything to do with this. I really don't. I just felt as though I was being used by something greater, bigger, outside of me, directed. Everything was directed for me. I mean, I didn't have to go looking for anything. I didn't have to say, oh, well, today I'm going to do this, or today I'm going to do... No. It was all done for me. It was pointed out to me. This is, okay, now this is my next move. Now this is my next move. Now this is my next move. And I began to really stand back in wonderment of all these different things that could happen. I got food here. I got food there. Sometimes I only had 11 cents to start a week, and I had to feed 1,000 people at that time. It was a tremendous display of, I don't want to say faith on my part, but of a display of of things that were happening that I had no control over. They literally happened right by us. And I used to say, wow, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So I had a real good rapport, or connected to, something a little bit bigger than me. Call it God if you want to. Because I believe that's who masterminded everything here. And so through this process, I was just used as a pawn, and I would do my work on my daily basis, and people would come to help me that I needed, and I knew why they were there, and thus this would go on, and every day, every week, every month, and I would keep going downtown, developing, and people began to, there was one, beautiful story, after story, but one story where a man came and he put his arms around me and hugged me, and he said, Ray, I just want to tell you I love you. Things like that would begin to happen. Women would come up and say, Ray, thanks so much. I love you so much. You've been down there. You understand what I'm talking about. I began to feel like that I had tapped into something really powerful here, and I was really again doing nothing, and yet it was shown to me through the process of these down and beautiful people that were out, really most of them, and they were showering me with love and attention and understanding. Not that I thrived on this, but if you can imagine and visualize that a man that is all busted up, face beaten in, drunk, or however you want to put it, coming up to me and saying, hey my brother, I love you. I began to feel, there's a lot of, I even hate to use the word black because I don't see black, but for sake of a better word, a person that is darker than I am, black, you might say, I see no color, and in their eyes, they see no color in me. They think I'm black, or they think I'm white, and I think they're white, and they think they're black. There's no color differentiation, and this was the thing that was beginning to happen. I was beginning to understand and talk the language of the street. I was beginning to not rough, tough, and all that stuff, but just to understand the beat of it, to understand the soul of it, to understand how these people thought. That the people of the street, they had beautiful minds. They may have been a little bit disturbed and hurt and all that stuff, but they could think, they could talk, they could walk. They were people, they were human beings. And I began to get a relationship with most of these people on the street. Began to get a rapport with them, began to get a feeling. They began to get a feeling with me. They began to trust me. This is what the miracle, I believe, with me there was a miracle, that a link, that I was privileged to be chosen for a few brief moments in this lifetime, a short period of time, 3 or 4 years, to be used to link up with the downtrodden of our society. And I said, wow, what an honor, what a privilege. And it may only last another month, it may last 2 more months, it may last 2 years. But they cannot take away now. Oh, I worked today so hard downtown. They cannot take away now what has already been beautifully given to me by the people of the street, and that is love. Oh, I'm not saying that they're all full of love and full of... But they have got a respect for me that is kind of unique. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to be part of something. It's like, I guess to be accepted in a sorority or a fraternity. But where is anybody accepted today? Really accepted? That's what I'd like to know. Where is anybody really accepted for what they are? I believe that I'm accepted on Skid Row for what I am. And I think that's a heavy statement. I don't know where I'm accepted anyplace else. I'm accepted in your family, or I'm accepted with Noreen, but I don't know if I'm accepted even in Frontline, by the Frontline people. I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know, but I do know I'm accepted downtown for what I am. which is not a lot, but it's what I am. And I think that this began to happen. I began to get a whole new dimension within my own framework. I began to see, wow, that I can make a difference. I can give my fellow man a little love and understanding. And this is what I began to see and feel and sense. And I think that's what's important. I think that's what's important in anybody's life. I know from a little kid, I just wanted to belong. And I've said many times, when I'm on Skid Row, I feel clean. And
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's nothing disturbing in me. I know where I am. I know what the place is. And there's no coloring. That's what it is, folks. You're at the bottom. And
Hey, wait, I'm going to change sides. It's good.
How many more hours we got? 2.
You're almost done.
And so here, I'll turn it off. You can go back. Was the feelings that were coming through of I began to see really true miracles. I began to see people the way they looked at me with hope for just a few brief moments. I began to see that the trust began, that all of a sudden there were no barriers of racial barriers or because someone is Jewish or black or Spanish or something. All of a sudden we were belonging to a group, and we were trying to help ourselves out. So this is what was happening to me personally. I began to feel privileged. I began to feel honored at the bottom. I felt as though I were on top of the world. And then you said I felt clean. Clean meaning, when I was on Skid Row, there was no, I want to clean this up for you, there was no self-delusion. There was no fantasies of, oh, I'm doing this and I'm making $20 million a week. And there were no, this is the way it is. We have nothing. I'll share with you with what I got. And sure, it was tough, and it was dog eat dog. I'm not going to say it wasn't. But I felt a part of this. I felt as though I didn't have to stand in front of somebody and try to make somebody believe I'm something I'm not. I didn't have to say, oh my God, I'm driving a good new car, and this car is worth $2,000, and I didn't have to cheat anybody. I didn't have to lie to anybody. And they didn't lie to me or cheat me or anything like that. They just stood in front of me in the clothes that were tattered, and the hands that were hurting, and the souls and the minds, and all they wanted was something to eat and a little conversation. And I said, wow. And that's why I felt clean, because there were no strings. There were no strings attached to this format, so to speak.
Right.
When somebody beat somebody over the head, that's what they did. We knew that it was a volatile situation. That's the way that's where we are. So I felt at ease, and that's the cleanliness that came through. When I walk into a room of people, today, any day, you can do it to anybody. It's not just me. Who in that room is lying? Who in that room is self-delusion? Who in that room is really truthful? Who in that room really cares? Or who in that room really doesn't care? I mean, I'm surrounded by a bunch of words. Oh, I care, I love, I did. But who really does? I don't know.
What,
Go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit about how things are in your life now. I mean, like, what would almost a typical week be like for you, and how you spend your time and so forth now?
Well, I wake up in the morning, and I take my sauna. And then I call my secretaries, Lisa Matthews and Noreen Golden. And they give me my agenda for the day. No, I'm only teasing. It's a day I wake up and I'm very tired physically. I'm tired physically most of the time. Not only mentally it takes a lot out of me, but physically this whole thing takes a lot out of me. My day consists on Sunday, I try to relax most of the day. I try to, but some things pop up here and there. On Monday, which now, because of Lisa helping, I'm trying to get off, again to relax my body. And most of the time I do pretty good. I try to begin to think along lines of where I could be of service to getting some more things from Frontline. Whereas I used to go in the kitchen and do a lot of the work there. I don't anymore, which is saving me, saving my life. That's a great thing. We're not here to save Ray's life. I mean, that's not what this is all about. But Tuesday, I go down, Noreen, she is a Tuesday woman, young woman, and I go down and I help out as a volunteer on Tuesday. I mean, literally as a volunteer. I'm not the boss. I go down as a volunteer. Everything I've taught these people, now hopefully they can do. And then I go downtown. I still handle the downtown part a little bit. But even downtown, I don't do the work as much. I don't hand out the food or anything anymore. Everybody else, the volunteers do it now. And they have a ball doing it. And I hand out some tickets, and that's about it. And I have a big crowd following me around. And then I come back on a Tuesday. I help clean up a little bit, again, as a volunteer. And then whatever has to be done at the facility, I do. Little stuff. And then I rest. I gotta have that rest. And Wednesday, which used to be a night trip, now is a day trip. And that's Lisa. That's her day. I come in as a volunteer. I don't even come in as a volunteer in the morning anymore. They do all that work. They prepare 200 meals, soups and ice cream, popcorns, and all that stuff. And they prepare all the sandwiches. And then I show up. And Lisa has everything all ready, and that goes in the truck. I go downtown with them. And then I come home, or I come back to the kitchen and help clean up a little bit. And not a lot, just a little. And then I rest again. And Thursday, again, that's run again now by Lisa. And also on Friday. And those are 2 days I'm now trying to take off to rest. I get ready on Friday. I get ready again. I rest Friday night. I go downtown to serve 1,000 people. And that's, again, I show up at 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. And now this guy, Steve Acala, and Dave, young kid Dave, handle that. They get everything all ready. They make the sandwiches and all that stuff, and they get everything all ready. We go downtown and serve 1,000 people. And again, I sort of reduced to just the gopher. You know, I don't do too much of the work, although I'm able to. But I mean, I just don't. But when I come home from Saturday, I'm still very tired. I think the greatest thing that gets me now is fatigue. I think I just am tired. And I think I can't stand it's very intense downtown. And I don't have strength. I like to do little things like count the tickets or put things in paper bags or bag popcorn or something. I like to do little things like that. I don't like to do big things. I like cleaning a shelf or something, something like that.
So you're starting to do more what you really want to do?
Yeah, I just want to be a part. I want to be a volunteer. Yeah, that's basically what I want to do.
So, as far as in the future, the next, years and so forth, what do you see that as wanting to be like? What are your plans for the future?
Wendy, loud and clear. You can put this in capitals. I believe that we have discovered, we, meaning the whole of all the people involved in Frontline, I believe that we, as a group, not me as a single human being, we as a group have developed a process by which we can serve food to the hungry in the sorted areas of the skid rows across the country, major cities, New York, Chicago, Detroit, in a manner that would end hunger lines in these areas. I believe that. I believe it. I believe the process is upon us. I believe it's not a month away or a year away. I believe that if anybody serves 250,000 meals in that area is a professional at what they do. That's what I believe. And anybody want to...
You see Frontline as being a part of your life in the future as well?
No, I don't. I think what we are, and I could be wrong on this, but you're asking me now. I think what we are what you call the pioneers. We pioneered a program. We have a pilot program that is pioneered. And I believe that's all we're supposed to do. We are the pioneers of. And if we can get this down in documented form, with our films and all that stuff, I believe that we are the pioneers. I believe that we have pioneered this for other cities to copy, and we'll give them the format. You can move these people up. You can move a Noreen or a Lisa or I don't know who else I got. I guess Noreen and Lisa. I guess that's about it. I mean, they're the only two people that can go to another city, let's say, and set it up. Nobody else can. They can take key people from this organization and set it up, but they're probably the only two people that are capable of going to another city and setting it up and structuring it. Wow, that's kind of scary. But does that answer your question?
Yeah.
But that's an answer. So when you got an answer to polio, you don't go looking for another answer, right?
Right.
When you have an answer to a heart or cancer, you don't go looking for another answer. I have an answer to the hunger and the skid row problem across the countries. Why should I go look for another answer? But the cities want it because we don't spend that much money. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on today at Frontline, right?
What's going on today, and it can be besides Frontline. Just what's going on.
I think that the biggest thing with me that's happened is I think I grew up a little bit. I think that I think that the process that has happened here in the past 4 years changed my whole perspective on life itself. It's rearranged everything in my head. And I think that things that I think of, profound things. I'm concerned about our planet. This is besides the hunger. But I've stretched my mind into areas that I've never been before. I have worried about the animals in Africa. And there's a major problem that we're not addressing right now. This is 1991, and you'll live to see it. You'll live to see no animals.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. And so I think that all these things have come into my framework right now. The compassion I have for other people, the caring. I think that's basically where I'm at. Just my framework, my mind has opened up a lot. Not that I'm not smart or anything, but I'm not. But I have opened up a lot, and so this is what what goes on, and this is how I am, and I don't know. Not too much more I can say about that, except that's the way it is. So, you can ramble on, but I mean, I don't think it has any meaning. I just think that my framework is opened up, and
Okay, so what I was sort of asking you is in the future, in the next, in the future, in the years to come, what do you see yourself doing? And
I think probably this is my last, my little last go round. I feel kind of complete, and I feel, maybe. I think I just want to relax. I want to just relax. I just see so much, but I think I'm too old now to really make any marks. I think somebody's going to have to, and there are people out there that feel the way I feel, so it's not a question of there's nobody there that's going to take the standard or go on beyond this point, because there's people that are going to help. But I just think that as far as I'm concerned, this is probably my last station. I know physically I just don't have strength anymore, and I know that, and I know I'm running out of just physical strength. And when you run out of physical strength, it's not too. I can't keep dragging myself around and say, "Oh, help you," So
do you see yourself maybe just taking some maybe vacations and just doing stuff that you haven't had? I think that's
basically, and that's most not so much as a vacation, but just a fresh outlook on different things. Where maybe in seclusion someplace, sitting around with a few dogs and cats and just saying, hey, maybe writing. I can see myself writing. I'm not.
I think you'd be great at it.
Well, I'm not. It's not coming out of me yet.
Right.
But on viewpoints, and I feel very strongly about certain issues, about certain things, so I can.
You'd like to express how you feel about it.
Yeah, and we've gone over a lot here. I mean, if you wrote about all this stuff, Jesus,
publish a book.
Yeah, right. You probably could. With elaborate on a few here and a few there. You can get me back to elaborate on some of the things that I hit on, but. Some of the issues that we hit on here are very vital issues. We just talk very lightly over, but they're very deep and deep issues. And you could write a whole I'm gonna say book, but probably book, but on truth alone. Which is one of my big bugaboos. And so I think that's a big issue, so I think there's a lot of things I got to say, but it's going to take time to put it out, and I think this is my last attempt at something physical. Strange, because all my life I've been physical, and I'm coming to a juncture in my life where I got to now think more with my head than I do with my body. Just the way it is. I still can move all my. I'm better than a paraplegic, so I'm a very fortunate man. I think that I'm a lucky guy because I've been through a lifetime, and I've done what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it and how I wanted to do it. Not too many people can say that. And, I don't really care about the results either. I don't care. I have no. Aspirations of wanting anybody to remember me. I have no legacies that I want to leave. I have no fields that I want to conquer. I just don't. And I'm just what I am and who I am, and for better or for worse, that's the way it is. All right, these are some of the people that I look up to that have I don't want to say influenced me in any way, shape, or form, but just that I stood in awe of a little bit. Howard Hughes is one guy, and I liked Howard Hughes. I don't like the way he manipulated and things like that, but I like what he when he was going to do something, and as the example I can give you is the spruce goose, he flew it himself. I said, wow. And he was an uncanny man because he had focus. He could focus. And I learned a lot by that, by Howard Hughes, by that mere focus. This is probably one of the most important attributes a human being can have is focus. Without focus, one can't do anything. I loved Babe Ruth. I'm just throwing out names to you. I loved Babe Ruth because good, bad, or indifferent. That he sat down and he took time out of his life to sign autographs for kids. And I love Lou Gehrig for what he stood for. And this not because he's an athlete, but because of what he exuded. A man of great determination and great focus. And same with Babe Ruth. They've done a lot greater things than I'll ever do, but they are certainly men that I look up to. I love a guy by the name of Tom Dooley, who was a doctor. And I remember watching this man on the TV. He was 37 years old. And he was on the TV in the 50s. And it was a small little tube. And this guy came on the radio. And did I mention about Tom Dooley before? No. And he said, "My name is Tom Dooley, and I'm a doctor. And I'm here to ask for money for the people in layoffs." Nobody knows about layoffs then, but they all do now.
That went there to help them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did.
I did, yeah, and he had leprosy. Wow, what a brave man he was. I still think about that. He died. Again, focus. These are, anyway, these were just some of the people that I just, I think about President Truman when he had to make the decision to drop the atomic bomb. I mean, can you imagine the decision resting on my shoulders, and I have the power within my vocal cords to say go or not to go, and in that going, I will kill 80,000 human beings. That's a decision. So I have to be there when you have to make that decision, and say what a moment to be able to come to a conclusion after that, because it's got to be him. So I think about things like that. My mind thinks about things like that. I think about the heroism of a John Glenn. I think we talked about that, didn't we? And yet in there, as they became senators, they became crooked, or there's some shady stuff about them. This is too bad. It doesn't negate the heroism, but it does certainly cast a shadow on him as a human being. I think purity of a human being is important. I guess probably that's where I'm at. I'm tired of all the baloney. I'm tired of all the hypocrisy. I'm just tired of it. Just want some human being to stand up and say, this is what I do and this is all I am. And what's wrong with that? Instead of all the complexities and all the hidden meanings. I think this is where I am today. Is I'm in a clear field. I see nothing but clearness ahead of me. And if I have clearness ahead of me, and I live clarity today, my past is becoming clear too, isn't it? It has to be. Because if I think about clarity, and I live in clarity, every day keeps going by, every day past is a clear day. I like that. It's pretty profound, isn't it? That's not my thoughts anyway. I just transposed a few words from somebody else but it sounds good. But I never put it in that way. But every day lived is a good day, and every day, if I live each day good, every day is a memory of goodness, not of badness. And that's all I do. But so I think that's that's where I am today. I'm in a clear spot. I don't like muddling. I don't like confusion. I don't like I just can't handle any of that other stuff. So that's a big thing with me today. Clarity of thought, clarity of position, clarity of everything, so to speak. And that's basically what I stand for. I think I stand for giving for the purity of giving for the purity of giving, clarity, not lying, and that's it. I guess there's not too much to talk about when you get to those points and say, well, no, all I want to do is just be clear-headed and honest. Where do you go from there? I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know where you go from there. I talk to this guy and he just wants to be truthful to me. Oh, kind of boring. The liars are not boring, see. When I was lying and deceiving, I do want to say that,
That's what you hear on the news is all the bad stuff.
Huh?
That's what on the news all you hear is all the bad stuff.
Right. Because people, that's but Jesus, you help a little old lady across the street and that doesn't get on the news, you see. So I think these are I think this is where the line is drawn with me. This is just really, boy, you just want to give, yeah. You just love, yeah. You just want to be compassionate, You just want to give your fellow man, Oh, geez, that's boring. There's nothing good about that. But how do you get to that point? Stripped. We went through that whole thing about stripping, and that's the process. Stripping. Wendy, boy, you can write some things about that. The stripping of the human psychic. The rearrangement of the ideas in the head. That's heavy. To come out into the clear field.
Have the people that are a part of your life now, have they showed you maybe different ways of looking at things than the people that you knew when you were younger?
Wendy, that's a good question. I'll tell you. The people, did they show me more today than they did when I was younger?
Well, did you learn have you learned different things now?
I think that, see, Wendy, there's not, see, once a human being learns that water is water, and ice is ice, and the sky is sky, where do you go from there? Or, truth is truth, lying is lying, self-deluding is self-deluding. Now, I don't know these things at age 18. I was using most of them, lying, conning, and cheating.
More about yourself. Have you learned maybe more things now about yourself, maybe from other people?
No. I think the learning about self, must terminate. I cannot spend all this time on self, learning about self. It's very boring. That's why it's talking about me is boring. It's very boring. I don't want to know anything about myself that I don't already know. I know everything about myself. I'm okay. I was a liar, a con, a cheat, a self-deluder, a rationalizer, a justifier, a compromiser, selfish and self-centered, egotistical, and braggadocio. What more do I got to know about me? Do you understand what I mean? Now, once you know those things about myself, what am I going to do about that? And that was the process that took place over the course of years. I can live in the lie for the rest of my life, or I can do something about it. And I did something about it. I chose to clean my act up, clean my life up. Why? Because I found these things out about myself. But my God, I can't find them out now. Oh, I might have a touch of selfishness now and a touch of this or a touch of that. But on the whole, no. There's got to be some hope for somebody young. There's got to be hope for you. How about hope for you, for the kids, for the young 12-year-olds, or the 20-year-olds? You're 20. There's got to be hope. There's got to be somebody ahead of you that says, hey, man, the guy's clean. The guy's clean. He doesn't lie. Don't you want somebody like that ahead of you? Or do you want liars and con artists ahead of you? Do you see what I mean? So there's got to be some hope. What happened? The question was, is people affecting my life today? And the answer to that question is that everybody affects my life today. But there also had to come a point in my life when I had to take, so to speak, the initiative, the time of taking a stance, like Custer's last stand. And I had to take a stand in life that it's my turn now to do what I got to do. I can't keep say, geez, I want to be like so-and-so, or this one's really affecting my life. I got to go out there and do a lot of stuff. So I haven't got time to sit back and get better at what I do. I got to keep doing it and hope like hell I get better. And so I think that's I don't want to infer that I've learned everything. Please don't think that. But I also want to place an emphasis that it's like somebody going to school all the time. Well, life is a school. But a formal education is going to school classes and taking your courses in school. I'm through with that. I can't take any more courses in school.
And you're learning from life.
Right. I got to learn from the actual practicality of life itself. And now, everybody, you influenced me. You know, your mother and your father influenced me. I love him dearly. Uncle Irv.
I love you too.
Auntie. So I must learn from every human being that I come in contact with, but I can't formally sit in the classroom and learn anymore. I mean, I'm finished. It's done. It's a wrap. I wouldn't do it anyway, but I just don't have time. My time for school is over with. And the people that influence me, yes, there are people that will influence me, but I think I'm not looking for that. Maybe I want a person to be alongside of me. Noreen influences me. Cousin demonstrates through her a tremendous aptitude for helping people. That's unbelievable to me. See, when people really put forth that kind of an effort, yeah. And here's some. Did I ever tell you a story about the guy giving birth on Skid Row?
No.
Okay, well, this is a beautiful story. The name is Dale Glover, and he was drunk one day. It was a Saturday, and he came up to me. It was after we served food downtown. He came up to me and he said, Ray, you gotta come with me. You gotta come with me. Ray, come on. And so I started walking around the block with him. And he brought me to Wall and 5th, downtown Skid Row. And he said, Ray, I brought a life into the world here today. Right here, right on this spot. He said, right here, come with me across the street. He brought me across the street, and all the guys were standing there, and he says, tell Ray what I did. And he said, yeah, he delivered a baby here. Cops came, the paramedics and all that. He said, Ray, with my hands, he said, the woman was screaming and everybody left. Everybody was afraid. He says, she was on the ground. He says, I took her pants down, and he says, and I spread her legs, and he says, and I brought the baby out into the world, and I cut the umbilical cord. He had a knife, and he cut the umbilical cord. He says, and I brought life into the world. He said, I did, Ray. I did. And he kept on saying that to me. And he wanted me to be part of it. He brought me around all his friends, and he brought me into that, and he was so proud of the fact that he brought life into the world. It was written up in the newspapers and everything, and the news and all things. But he was so proud he wanted me to know. I felt as though I said, my God, here's a man that he just wanted to share that he loves me so much. And that day, that man reached in his pocket and gave me 22 cents. to put into Frontline Foundation to feed the hungry. Now that makes me rich, doesn't it? That's the story, you see. My God Almighty. And I mean, a man downtown that is a pretty violent guy. Very violent guy. But he just, when he talks to me, he talks soft. And he talks of love. And he calls me his brother. He's away in jail right now, but he's just a beautiful man. The same man that's an animal and a vicious man in the streets. And yet when he talks to me, he gives me love and understanding. Those are wild trips when I go and think about these things that people today, these things happen now. And it's makes me feel like a king. Makes me cry too. Makes me feel so it humbles me. Feelings again of how little I'm doing, and yet I know it's a lot. That's why I can never take any credit for what I do, because it's all been given to me. And so anyway, that's two little vignette stories. It's kind of nice. When I get the I think when I go, I think one of the things when I go on radio, when I get interviewed, not here, but when I get interviewed, I think a lot of it has to do with up to this point, I think I've been trying to bring forth the message. When I go on KLOS as an example, I think I try to, in a short period of time, put a message across, and I don't think that's what I'm about. I think my message is already said. Here's a man that's developed an area that served 250,000 meals. But when I go on radio, I've been trying to, and I'm going to go on radio this December 22nd. And they ask questions, and I will always try to answer them as honestly as I possibly can. But I think most of my interviews, most of my things have always been to I don't want to say persuade, but to open up the area of hunger. And I don't think I have to do that anymore. So I think my interviews on radio, I think I'm going to announce and not denounce. And I like that. Announce what is being done, not denounce somebody else or something else for something I should do, they should do, etc., etc., etc. So I think the radio things and the interviews in the newspapers are all part of a growing process with me. I had to grow. But I think now I'm at a point now, I don't want to denounce anybody, and I don't want to persuade anybody. I just want to feed a few people, serve food to a few people, and that's basically what I'm going to do. And win, lose, or draw, from now on the radio, I'm going to have fun. I'm not going to. This is again is a new feeling for me. I'm not coming from behind, Wendy. I'm there. And I didn't know I was there. There meaning, people say there meaning, I'm at there, the point I'm saying there is, where I'm at is, I don't have to justify, rationalize, or compromise my positioning. I don't have to try to cajole, entice, manipulate in any way, shape, or form. I'm there. There's honest, and there's purity, and there's love, and there's understanding, and there's compassion, and there's tolerance. So all these things are there. So I'm there. All I got to do is announce what I'm doing and not denounce anything else. And not try to persuade anybody anything about what I'm doing, either on the radio or... The world's going to go on. The world's going to go where it's going to go, with or without me. And I'm just one person trying to do what I'm doing. and I believe a certain amount, and I realize I cannot change the world. All I can do is just a little area, and by doing so, make it a little easier for a few people to, a lot of people, to enjoy themselves. So, does that, I've elucidated a little bit on that. You think I got a good vocabulary? Oh, yeah, sure. I love that you interviewed me, and I think it's an honor that you even considered interviewing me. I just see that's another spot. It's got nothing to do with it's got nothing to do with what's the word I'm trying to think. It's got nothing to do with false pride. It's got nothing to do with ego. It's got nothing to do with that. I just don't. I just sort of am a matter of fact guy. I just don't think that it's any big deal. I think you're a big deal. No, I do. I think that the fact that you're writing all this down, my God, that's a big deal. But I have no importance on what I'm saying or doing. There just isn't. I know it sounds stupid, but I mean, I guess if I did, I guess I wouldn't be able to get all this food. I'd be saying, hey, I'm pretty good. But that's not what it's about. So when you interviewing me, I mean, it's like, well, I'm humbled. I'm honored.
You found that you've remembered a lot of things, maybe
Oh Jesus, yeah. You asked a lot of questions there. You got me on rolls. You got me on little tangents. You got me remembering things from years ago.
It's funny how much we really remember when we.
Yeah, I mean, I can go way back there to those times and to all these things. But all these things, you awakened a lot of good stuff in me. A lot of stuff that's there and just saying, hey, nothing bad, and just about all there is to know, nothing, there's only a certain amount of gamuts the human can go through. And that's what I've gone through. I've gone through a lot of gamuts, the same as you've gone through a lot of gamuts in your life. The gamuts that you've run through are the same I run through. The same you're going to run through in the future. They're no difference. Oh my God, they're no difference. And when Wendy says I feel sad, if somebody 30 years older than you says they feel sad, sadness is the same. So you've awakened all these things in me, and made me think and made me think back. And I think it's kind of boring, but you got to go through all these notes and get some kind of a semblance of order. I wouldn't want to do that. I can't even begin to think.
Everyone sort of looks at their life as, maybe being boring, but I think everyone else looks at it as being interesting because it's different from theirs.
I think probably one of the most interesting things I've ever come about is the fact that I've come down to a point of I don't want to be selfish. I want to be loving. I want to be pure of mind.
Well, too bad there aren't more people like that.
And I want to be honest. So I think that blows my mind. I had a talk with my son last Sunday about that. God, what a trip. What a trip, to be honest. What a trip. And I just can't believe it. I mean, I'm clean. It's like my hands are clean. So, anyway, I just, that's how I feel about what you're doing, and I commend you for it, and I hope it's a good paper. I hope.
How can it not be? Keep thinking. I might figure it out.